everybody, and welcome to Living Beyond the Label. I am Laura Thomas. I hope you guys are ready for a fun-filled interview and probably some laughter and jokes, because I have Armin Shafi on with me today, and him and I together are a very interesting duo over here. So Armin, thank you so much, and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure, believe me. Can you tell the audience a little about who is Armin Shafi?
Yeah, well, I am a young adult who is progressing on his worthy ideals in life. I'm the founder of a business called Elite Speakers Academy, where I train speakers to become elite speakers. And elite speakers to us means just people who can make a big impact on big stages and making big money doing it. So anybody who knows how to offer things from a stage, who knows how to create who are seminar leaders and can create workshops and accelerated learning experiences through their training. And that's what we help. We help these public leaders, these influencers. And then I also run this seminar called Reborn, which I know you know about, Laura, which is just helping people to dig deep inside of them and rip out the things that are holding them back in life from their full potential, really learning the science of who they are. And then I do run a company called Sales In, where we do digital marketing for all the public leaders that, you know, are on the higher caliber, who want to actually get out there and go national and really spread the word of what they do in their work. So I'm very humbled. I'm privileged. It's a lot of fun things to do at a young age. And I'm excited because I serve so many people on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis.
Absolutely. So Reborn is where we met. So for anyone who's watched my social media, they definitely have heard of Reborn and your name. What they don't know is your story behind you. How did Reborn in specific come to you?
Yeah, it actually came to me in the shower. Funny enough, the actual name. I'm taking an intense shower, and in this intense shower, I'm thinking, what will be the brand name and the face of what I do and who I am? Yeah. And when I was 18 years old, I nearly died, and I was in a car accident that honestly, by logic, I should not have survived, but by, I guess, spirit and something greater than just human, I did survive. And I was driving home at 3 a.m, coming back from being around the wrong people, doing the wrong things, and just being not the person I was destined to be. And as I was driving home, I fell asleep behind the wheel, and I went straight into a utility pole. My car spun, it hit a fire hydrant, and I was on the edge of a hill going into a parking lot. And I'm lucky because it was so late in the morning, there was no one around. I didn't hit any other people. I didn't hit any other cars. So I was very fortunate to have such a safe crash, if that's an oxymoron. But when I came out of there, when I went through the experience of the crash, I was like, oh my God, because the level of presence your brain goes through when you're going through a near-death experience is profound. And it's absolutely transformational. Now, there's some people who also go through experiences like that, and they might not get a breakthrough. And that's yet to be in the unknown. What I can understand is if you almost die knowing that your life is about to be taken, then you go through this transformative process. And in Reborn is where I actually show that process. My entire message to everyone that goes to Reborn, the experiential seminars we do, is that you don't have to almost die like I did to be able to achieve the level of presence, mindfulness, and personal mastery that I achieved after the crash, because I wanted to change my habits. So the name itself came from the concept that at 18, I almost died. And thus I thought, why not build an experience seminar training on what I learned from that and how I can serve everybody in my community. And thus far, because not everybody wants to almost die or crash their car to learn those lessons. So it's a full day experience, and I needed a name for it. I had no name. And one day I'm like, I'm going to get this name. I'm in the shower and I'm just going, washing my hair. And I asked myself, I say, what would it be called? And I thought of a lot of names, and it just came to me. I saw it in my head. It said Reborn, Reborn. And I saw the name on books. I saw best-selling books. I saw them as on clothes. I saw them everywhere. And I thought, this is the name. It felt right. My gut just reacted, and it was so crystal clear. And I'm like, this is the name. It feels like it was made for me, the name. So.
Well, and it really was. Now that I've attended it, it really is in essence being reborn.
Yeah.
Now, for the viewers watching who don't know the full story of your transformation after that accident, it was not you had an accident and the next day you just had this revelation, right? Talk about the time where you kind of got lost. You didn't really know who you are, what you're meant to do.
Yeah. So after my crash, I went through this 8-month confusion period that I call it. And within that 8 months of confusion, I went through minor depression. I went through suppression. I went through excitement. I went through learning, through growth, through stretching, through confusion, through anger. It's like everything. And it was a self-discovery period of my life. So I come out, and in these 8 months, I got exposed to, fortunately, the science of the mind, learning about how thoughts create things and thoughts are things. So I got heavy into the law of attraction type science. I got heavy into the mindset and creating miracles and manifesting desires. And so I started to practice in those 8 months. I'm like, okay, let me practice this. And small things would happen. Like I would manifest people paying for my gas, and I would be like, whoa, that's really cool. Or, someone taking care of a bill. And I'm like, it's $20, $30, but there's small manifestations. And as I went through these processes, I started to become more aware of all the grateful things I have in my life. So I was working on myself. What I like to say is that I brainwashed myself because my brain was really dirty. It needed some washing.
Right.
And I changed it. And in those 8 months, I went through confusion because I was learning all these science of the mind strategies. And I was so up here in my head, but my bank account and my lifestyle was still down here. And I was so confused. So then the frustration kicks in. Yeah. Then the depression of like, what am I doing wrong? Is it me? What most people ask themselves on a day-to-day basis, like why they're frustrating in their life or suffering is like, what's wrong with me?
Right.
So that was the question I fell into heavily. Like, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? Am I just unlucky? And it took 8 months. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the 8 months, I managed to get there. I remember a couple of days before I manifested this beautiful opportunity, I was on my bed and I was writing in my journal, and I was writing all of the people I owe money to and all the things I've lost. And it was just so depressing. I didn't even expect it to be that depressing as I was writing it.
Yeah.
And I started crying on my bed, and I thought, I just want to be successful. Why is it so hard? Mm-hmm. Why is it so hard? It's like, I felt like I deserved it, but it wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And I was able to manifest this beautiful opportunity to move to Vancouver. Mm-hmm. And I left my family, I left my home, I left everything. And I stretched myself. I went beyond my comfort zone. I went to a whole different province. I've never traveled before. I've never lived on my own. And I went at the age of 18, 19 years old. And I lived on my own for 4 months. And in those 4 months, I disciplined myself. I transformed my habits. Because what I realized, Laura, is that in the 8 months, the reason why I wasn't manifesting what I wanted was because I wasn't acting on what I was thinking. Right. So I wasn't being a person that wanted the things I wanted. I'd say I want $200,000 to just fly into my life. And then I wasn't acting like $200,000 was coming into my life. Like when you actually want to manifest things, you need to step into being a person that's going to have that thing before you get it. So when I moved to Vancouver, that was the type of thing that what I wanted in my life, all the things that a person like that would do. And that was the first moment where I unlocked the key to the universe, God, or whatever you believe, to actually start pouring into my life with the things I want. Does that answer your question?
It does. Absolutely does. So for a person who is still in that dark place and still really struggling, the importance of a positive mindset the second they wake up, right? Mm-hmm. Starting off a morning routine in a healthy manner with a strong mindset. How important would you say that is for somebody?
Yeah, so mindset is, I would say, everything right next to action, because your mindset will trigger the action. Mm-hmm. And to protect the mind, you have to imagine your mind like a garden, right? So I read this out of a book called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Great. Incredible book. Yeah, Robin Sharma is an incredible author. Yeah. And I was reading this book and I just thought, what a profound analogy. Your mind is a garden. So when you start to picture your mind, mm-hmm. Is it luscious and green and beautiful and colorful? Or does it have weeds in it? Is it the grass longer than it should be? You haven't cut it? Is it, is plants dying? Is there insects everywhere? And thus, it gives you a very good visual of where you're at mentally. And that's the mindset. And the mindset is now the rules you have that configure the mind to what it becomes. Mm-hmm. So you have to start thinking of your mind as a garden and protecting that garden like viciously, like ruthlessly protecting it, not letting any bad information come in, not letting any bad experiences affect your garden, your mind. Right. Even having one conversation with a person that's a little poisonous, a little futile, or a little bit of gossiping could easily grow 10, 15, 20 weeds in your garden, this massive garden you have. So mindset would be one of the most important things. Your mind has to grow. Your brain has to grow on a day-to-day basis, or else you will feel like you're dying. You will feel like you're stuck, which is actually what it feels like to die slowly.
Right.
So reading on a daily basis, doing something to shock your nervous system on a daily basis. What I've been doing for almost over 3 years now is I would take a very cold shower in the morning. So I start my water cold. We talked about this in Reborn.
I know.
I start my shower cold, ice cold, and then I end it ice cold. Sometimes I do a full cold shower, depending on the day and what level of conditioning I want to give myself. But what does that tell me? I'm training myself. I'm training my mindset to say that I will do things even if they suck.
Right.
Now, when you're about to be out in the real world and you're going to do something that might not be the most comfortable, what are you going to think? Well, if you've done cold showers, you'll say, it's just cold water, baby. It's just cold water. And thus, it's so much easier. You want to approach that person, that stranger, and have a conversation with them. You want to go and speak on a stage. You want to do that first sales appointment you've never done before. You want to go talk to that person that deserves to hear what you have to say.
Right.
You just say it's cold water and you run into it. So you got to do things on a daily basis that will integrate into your mind the rules you want your brain to follow, because your brain is like a puppy. It's just waiting for you to train it.
Mm-hmm.
And if it just keeps peeing everywhere in the house, that's your fault. It's not
right.
the puppy's fault.
You're not training it.
Yeah, no. I think one of the best phrases I've ever heard in personal development is, I think I read it in a book that was very important about keystone habits. And it said, the only thing that matters in your life is what you do every day. The only things that matter in your life is what you do every single day. You look at that, like brushing your teeth, sleeping,
right.
eating, breathing,
yes.
talking.
Right.
Those are the only real things that matter in your entire life, because you do it on a day-to-day basis, no exception.
Yes.
And you can actually, here's the trick. You guys ready for this? Some golden stuff. This is the stuff that's helped me like form what I've created in my life.
Do you see why I like him, everybody? He gets nice and close when he gives you the good stuff.
Just lean in. Let me tell you something. You can convince your mind, you can convince the brain to think of anything, any habit you want to be as important as breathing or sleeping or going to the bathroom on a daily basis. So imagine making reading an unconscious, uncontrollable daily habit that you just do as if it's a survival thing. Yes. Imagine making reading that, which it should be, because if you don't read every day, it would just, you're going to be killing your mind. Like, it's like, are you going to not eat for a day? You're never going to not eat. Your stomach would starve.
Right.
So the mind is the same. So that's really one of the secrets of mastering your life. Just having an idea of the list of habits you want to create that on a day-to-day basis, you were going to integrate. And it's like, you can't even think of not doing it anymore. It's not normal to not do it. That's probably one of the coolest things I've heard, that the only things that matter in life is the things that you do every single day.
And I love that, because when you break it down to it, it's that black and white.
Yeah, it is. Very simple.
Black and white. So Armin has worked with me personally and helped me with the mindset. So he is my mindset guru dude.
Guru dude, that's good.
Guru dude, that's your title. For anybody who wants to learn how to shift their mindset, it sounds difficult, right? And I remember the first time you said it to me, it was really intimidating almost, because I thought, oh, that sounds like a lot of work and I don't know if I'm ready for it. And I was really in a comfort zone. How do you break out of that? How do you even start that process without being intimidated by it? Or stay intimidated by it and just push through?
Yeah, so great question. So I'll give you two different strategies to solve that. So the only thing that hinders you from action, from moving, from taking things is, one, what's in your mind, what you're physically seeing. And then based on the thing that you're seeing in your head, the size of the difficulty you find that what you want to do is intimidating or not. So I'll give you an example. The brain thinks, or the mind, whichever one is the most accurate for the person, because I know there's different theories to this, but the mind thinks in pictures. Okay. So everything's a movie or it's a still frame. Mm-hmm. So when you're about to do something, right? Give me an example of something you might be intimidated to do, and you're like, I don't know if I can. Give me an example of it, and let's walk through a real life example.
In regards to mental health, let's do leaving the house.
Okay. So leaving the house because you're just so isolated, you feel safe in the home, but you're trapped in the home and you feel imprisoned. You're depressed, but you want help, but you don't know how to get it. It's this like state of paralyzation. You're
Absolutely.
paralyzed
Yeah.
inside of your home,
Yep.
which is, and a lot of people go through that, and it's so real. It's very serious.
It's real.
So here's what's happening in the mind. You ready for this? Mindset's everything. What you're doing, what your action is a result of what you're feeling, which is a result of what you're experiencing in the mind.
Okay.
Very cool, right? So I want everyone who's listening to remember this one line. This is my key line in all of the Reborn experiential seminars. And this is the thing that I live by. This is what I build my philosophy of life on. The brain doesn't know the difference between real and imaginary. You remember that, Laura?
I remember that. And I remember sitting there saying, huh? But
Right?
you're right.
It doesn't know the difference.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Well, watch this. Right now, I want you to close your eyes. I'll show you an example. Just close your eyes right now. And I want you to imagine that you got half a lemon in your hand. So it's cut in half. It's nice and juicy. It's ripe. It's a little cold. The lemon's a little cold. And I want you to take the lemon in your mind to your mouth. And I want you to take a nice big, like just suck on the lemon. Just squeeze it, suck on the lemon, and imagine the lemon's juice going into your mouth. Like be as vivid as possible.
It's gross.
It's gross. I love sucking on lemons, by the way. They're so good for you.
I totally knew you would.
So some of you, while you did this exercise, if you actually did it and you stayed focused and present and you went through it, you're like, and you felt it in your mouth, what's going to happen is some of your mouths, they salivate.
Yes.
So you have more saliva come out. What's happening? Your nervous system, your brain is sending signals to your mouth that you're sucking on a lemon. Now, some of you didn't feel anything. Don't be worried. You're not weird. And the ones who did it, they're not weird. It's just a matter of how good are you at being present while you do it. Because the more vivid you see it in your mind, the more vivid you could imagine it, then the better the reaction is. But everybody can do this.
I imagined that sourness.
Yes.
Right, like
and your mouth cringes. Yeah, exactly. Your mouth cringes. But what's happening is your body is responding.
Yes.
Now, for the ones who couldn't feel anything, I encourage you to look more towards improving your imagination skills, just to build the muscle of imagination. Because if you can imagine sucking on a lemon and your body responds, it means you have a very good imagination muscle. You can vividly see things. Now, for the ones that it happened for you. Exactly, yes. For the ones, because I didn't want to leave them hanging, right? Everyone's like, oh, this didn't work. No, well, it didn't work for me at first too, but now I can do it so well. The ones who it did that did work for them, let me explain to you what's happening. Your brain doesn't know if you're sucking on a lemon or not. What it's doing, it's saying, oh, okay, here's what I feel like is going on. Here's what you're thinking is going on. And because you think you're sucking on a lemon and you believe it, your brain's like, oh, no problem. Okay, now I'm going to send signals to the mouth to respond as if it is. It doesn't care if it's real or not. Thus makes everything you think is happening real. So let's go back to the scenario where you're trapped in your house. You're paralyzed. You don't know how to leave. You don't know what to do. You don't know who to call, but you know what to do, but you don't know how to do it to start doing it. The only reason is because you're running a process through your mind that's making you feel like you are paralyzed, where your body is sending signals to all of your muscles, tensions, your bones, your arteries, your blood, everything is saying, I'm paralyzed. I can't leave the house.
Right.
That belief can be shook off by two things. One, physiology change. So if you're really like depressed and you want to do something to get out of it, stand up, breathe really deep, like until you get lightheaded and start jumping up and down. Your body's going to be so confused and so shocked that it won't remember to feel depressed. It won't remember to feel paralyzed. In that window, in that gap you have, where your body's like, and your brain is confused to what it should feel because you're shocking it physically, then you can insert a new belief. Now, in that space where your body and your body's trying to recuperate from what you just did, now you imagine the house is open and all the walls are invisible and you can walk through them. Now you can imagine maybe the house is not so big and gigantic like a jail cell. You can imagine the house as being this beautiful, white, beautiful building you're sitting in. Now you can actually imagine walking yourself out with a smile on your face and talking to someone. What is this going to do? Is it going to solve the sources of pain that is causing your depression? No, it won't solve that yet. No. But it will do, it will open a window for you to be able to act.
Right.
Thus giving you personal power. And with that personal power, you will be able to now go to the next step. So that's one way, changing what your mind is experiencing. So change your physiology state. And then in that open gap, and by the way, this is how hypnosis kind of works. So I've been studying hypnosis a little. And the way it works is you pretty much have to confuse or distract the conscious mind so that the unconscious mind can be embedded a new command. That's how hypnotists do that. Have you ever seen hypnotists on stage?
Yeah.
I've been hypnotized on a stage.
So
I wanted to know what it's like.
Yeah.
And pretty much you always know what's happening, but you have no desire to stop. You just do whatever the guy says.
Yeah.
Why? If you notice when you're on a stage and there's someone, the hypnotist is grabbing your arm, pulling you, and they're like knocking your head over and you're sleeping. Or he's touching your head or asking you a weird question. You're like, what does that mean? And then he hits you out of nowhere. Not hits you, but taps your head over, pulls your arm. What is he doing? He's confusing your conscious mind to say, what the hell is going, what? And your mind is too busy thinking, what? I don't know what's happening. In that confusion period, the walls that you have on your subconscious go down. Okay. And in that little space, you'll be like, you're a dog. And the subconscious mind's like, I'm a dog. Okay, great. It's like every time I touch my nose or whatever, you're going to bark like a dog. And you see people start barking like dogs. Yeah. This is the same type of powers and strategies you can use to yourself. By changing your physiology state, doing something weird, getting out of your physiology paralysis just by moving. Now your body, your conscious mind is like, okay, what am I doing? What's going on here? And in that space, your subconscious is listening to anything you say. So you can just do that and say, I'm so powerful. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful in my life. I know exactly what I want to do. I know exactly who I am. And combine that with movement. Now you're working with something. You're giving clear proclamations to your nervous system, which is the clear declaration of something. That's one way. The other way, I'm sorry I know you want to say something. The other way is very simple. The other way is doing small things, small things that you know you can in order to get enough willpower to do the big thing. So let's say you want to leave your house. Well, what you really don't want to do is maybe 20 push-ups. Okay, you maybe just don't want to. So you do 20 push-ups. You just start there. Maybe you do 10 push-ups. Maybe you go and put cold water on your face. Maybe you do something that is somewhat discomforting. And then eventually you do that over and over and over and do something over and over. You'll build this muscle called willpower, which is now proven actually in the book Power of Habits that that willpower is a muscle. It's not an emotion. It's like it's a muscle. So it actually can become weaker if you exhaust the muscle. But you also have to build the muscle. The more things you do that takes willpower, the stronger it gets. Okay. Does that make sense? So those are my two clear strategies. One, change the physiology and then think something different in your head that enables you, inspires you to act and do something what you want to do instead of what's happening. And the other one is just do small increments of things that are very achievable and don't think about the big idea. Because if you ever talk to someone who's emotionally traumatized or distraught, and I've worked with them. I worked with a woman who was 63 and she's been depressed for 40 years of her life. Like we could talk about that right after I finish this so that, maybe that's a cool story too. But even with her in under 3 hours, I had her out of her entire state and her daughter thought she fell in love because she was so happy when she went home. And think about it. She's never experienced that kind of emotion. Yeah. For anyone who is emotionally traumatized, it's just a matter of distracting the conscious, getting straight to the subconscious so that you give a new command in, or by making them feel like it's doable. Because every time I work with someone who had an emotional barrier, every time they explain this feeling they had, they'd be like, oh, it's so big. It's so much. Yeah. I have a million things I have to do, or a million bad things happen in my life where I never get lucky, or, it's just over exaggerated. Yeah. When you change the vocabulary, the way you look at it, everything, and just bring it down to small little thing, size of a tiny little square, then you say, so easy to do.
Do you know my favorite part of all these interviews is almost every one of my mental health experts, as I refer to them, is giving real practical tools that we all can do today, that are in front of us today. The opportunity is right here. We don't need anything magical. There's no crazy, we don't need to go buy equipment. We don't need to pay. Like, it's right here in front of us and we have the ability to do it today. So I love that. And just for the viewers, that's just coincidentally happening. That is just the pattern of how everyone got from A to B to C. None of my speakers were prepped at all. This was just their own secret sauce that they are sharing with us. So thank you for that, Armin. I know those tools work because the person you met back in April and the person here in front of you today are very different, and you were a major part of that journey. So thank you for that. I'm honored. Now, you have quite an amazing gift for our audience. Do you want to
Yes.
explain that for them, please?
Yeah. So weirdly enough, we're talking about like mental strength and emotional mastery. And thus I want to actually gift a speaker's prize to anyone who wants to become a public figure, a public leader, I call them, to do essentially what I do or what you do, Laura. And so on behalf of Elite Speakers Academy, everyone on this is, by the way, invited to my next Reborn seminar for sure. You please add me on Facebook at Armin Chaffee, ARMINSHAFEE. And we'll talk, share a conversation. But when you message me, please tell me, but like, I just heard your interview with Laura, and that's why I'm messaging you, so that I know it's from Laura. I just recently got off another podcast interview, and I have like 20 people messaging me all over the States saying, hey, I just heard your podcast with this person. And I said, whoa, that's so cool.
That's awesome.
So yeah, please reach out to me so I can invite you guys to that and give you more info on it. But as for this special occasion in this interview, this honor I have to be interviewed by Laura, on behalf of Elite Speakers Academy, it's a 3-day academy program where we take you through 3 different steps as a speaker. 1, mastering everything about who you are as a speaker. So if you can understand if you can hear in the way I speak about things, I'm big on ontology. Ontology is a science of being. So I want to help people become what they want to become before they have or do the things, right? We're human beings, not human havings or human doings. So I want to make sure that everything I touch is in practicality. You know, in Elite Speakers Academy, we believe it's where talent meets implementation. Implementation is so important. It's more important than anything. So it's a 3-day program. We work on who you are as a speaker. Then we work on everything about you on a stage. So owning a stage, the physiology of it. How do you use your hands when you speak? What do you say to the audience engagement, how you use your tonality when you speak about stuff, or use accents when you want to talk about the story. And so many different things you could use, these tools on a stage to grasp and apprehend everything about your audience and the energy, how to move the room. So just mastering the stage so that you become a very effective speaker. And then we finish it off with teaching you how to make money as a speaker, how to get paid as a speaker. How do you become a public leader and start charging and transition from speaking to coaching, creating online programs, creating programs where stuff like what Laura does, what I do, which pays a lot because your time and your skill set to produce results and solve people's problems is very valuable. So what we do is we go through the entire process of becoming an influencer in your community as an expert of your field or whatever you choose. And by the way, people who don't know what they want to do, they come there and they find out why. We have an entire section where we focus on just your message. What's your clear gift, your message? What are you good at? And what can you offer? So I have people who come there who just want to get better, become better at doing keynote presentations at their company because they're the manager. Right? Then I have people who want to come and become the next Tony Robbins. I'm like, okay, great. We got everything for everyone. Right? So at Elite Speakers Academy, we focus on everything from beginning to end as you being an influencer, not just as a career, but in your life as well. Parents, you know, anyone in love life. How do you become a better communicator? Right. Don't you think if you could speak on a stage in front of 50, 100, 150, 1,000 people, and you can own everything and be in control, emotional mastery, get over your fears before a stage, don't you think that it impacts and leaks into every area of your life? Right? You're in your relationship and you're using the skills you learned as a speaker, but to communicate to your loved one. Right. So it helps everything. It's a 3-day program. The next one coming up is February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And right now we have a waiting list for it because we just have so many people who's interested in coming out all over the States, Canada, and even Asia. I got some people joining the waiting list. There's a link you can go to. It's tinyurl.com/ESA201A. So ESA 2018. ESA is the acronym for Elite Speakers Academy.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure you'll put it in the email.
I absolutely will.
But that's where you can join the waiting list. And when you do, and my team or myself personally reaches out to you on a phone, because that's what we want to do. We want to build relationships. All you got to tell us is that, hey, I'm from Laura's interview. That's where I came from. And I'll make sure that I apply a special discount for you guys. So the program itself the regular program cost is $3,000. It's $2,997 for the 3-day experience. And that's with a multi-million-dollar speaker who's coming down and speaking with me. His name's James McNeil. He works with Les Brown hand in hand. And with him, we do a co-facilitating workshop where he gives you 30 years of experience and I give you $40,000 to $50,000 worth of training that I've invested into myself in the past 6 months alone. So it's a really dynamic duo. So 3,000, my friends, is like, honestly, I'm a customer of seminars like this. Easily my seminar would be 5 to 10 grand. So 3,000 is the regular price. I want to gift one person. One person is allowed to win a $3,000 scholarship to the academy. And that means that person's coming in free of cost. We're giving you a scholarship to walk in. Everybody else who doesn't win the scholarship, I want to give you $2,000 off.
Wow.
Yes. $2,000. So 3,000 going all the way down to 997. And if you guys are interested, no, it's actually crazy for 3 days. Like it's okay. It's not a big deal. There's ways to it. And when you get there, by the way, we're going to show you why we can do that and how we do it so it doesn't, so we're not broke by the end of the month, because we want to keep doing more seminars and serve more people. So that's the big part. So it's going from 2,997 to 997. Now, I'm not like pitching or anything. I actually don't even know if you can still come, even if you wanted to pay, because you got to join the waiting list. So the waiting list, we have a capacity of how many people we want to fit, because it's still in process, right? We're still creating it. It's our second one now. And thus, we're not going to take everybody. I'm very selective with who we want to bring in. We want to make sure that's for the right customer, for the right client. Does that make sense? Yeah. So for anyone who does get approved and qualified to move forward into the program, it'll be $997 for you since you came from Laura. But you got to say I came from Laura to get the $2,000 discount. Is that fair with everyone? Perfect. Now, for the one who wants to win the $3,000 scholarship, here's how we're going to do it. You ready, Laura?
I'm ready.
All right. So I am thinking of a number between 1 and 1,000.
Okay, there's 1,000 opportunities in there.
1,000 opportunities. All you have to do is email me at armincomplete@salesin.ca. And Laura, are you going to put this in the email for them?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So you just got to email me at armincomplete@salesin.ca, your picked number. So like 363 or whatever it is. You just email me like, hey, I just saw your interview. Here's my favorite parts. And I joined the waiting list or whatever. By default, you might as well anyways, because I have a 1-hour webinar as well, a training I did online for free, 1 hour on just the essentials of elite speaking that you get when you join the waiting list, which will be best. Just free value for anyone who doesn't end up coming to February, that they still got something out of it just for, showing interest. And then I will choose the person who has won in January. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
So in the first week or so of January, or the second week, before the end of January, the month, I will reach out by email and hopefully call you as well. If you actually, here's the best part. In the email, put your name and your number so that I can call you if you win. You just send a number, and the person who either gets it on the dot or is the closest will win the scholarship. So 1 out of 1,000.
That is amazing. And for whoever wins that, you will probably see me there too.
Yeah.
I will probably be there. So that will be awesome. Well, thank you. For anyone watching, I will be sending you an email tonight at 8 p.m. with the links to all of the opportunities and gifts presented today. And I will have all of that written down in detail with exactly where to email and what to email Armin with. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's been an honor. Thank you for having me.
All right. We'll wrap it up now.